Unbelievable.
He's rattled
off and he just goes, well, whatever.
He's the Dominic Leone of board ops right now.
Oh, man. Tyler Rogers of board ops right
Tyler Rogers did not give up a run in September.
now. Well, I
Thus
wasn't
concludes
watching.
Giants talk.
I wasn't watching.
Look at Dan. Dan's ready to go.
I wasn't watching.
81 and 81.
Hey, listen, somebody on YouTube just said it. Hey, thank God for the Draymond situation because they're not talking Giants baseball. It's like, we haven't done that since September.
There aren't any games. Why would we?
Yeah, exactly.
Big signing, though. Patella, that's a huge signing.
No, Lupton this morning, we talked last night, and then we talked this morning because, well, I still got the Farhan cuts. We get into that. I said, Lupton?
Yeah.
We're probably not talking baseball today. We're not talking about baseball.
Yeah.
Got some
Put that in the refrigerator for February.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have Farhan cuts? He cuts half the team every year.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well played. That's
Thank
four.
you.
All right, boys.
Hi there,
Have at it.
Dibs.
I mean, Yordan Alvarez.
What a swing.
I mean,
Carlos Delgado of
if
this
you
decade.
don't like players pimping home runs,
So sick.
then you don't deserve to watch baseball because he squares it up, he hits it. And by the way, if there was no fence, that ball might have gone
Thank you.
800 feet.
Thank you.
But it's swing and a drive, and as soon as it comes off his bat, he looks at the bat with such disgust. He throws the bat aside. He glowers at his teammates who are rushing out of the dugout. He almost got mobbed before he got to first base. I heard it. I watched it. And when you watch the reaction, it's like, can we get more of this baseball?
Totally.
I mean, it was everything but him, like doing the moonwalk to first,
Through the
cartwheels
helmet?
to second, the whole thing.
Everybody
God.
does it except the San Francisco Giants.
y'all
We're the
see-
only team that
well,
don't pimp home
Head
runs.
down,
Wait.
because we, as an organization,
Oh, but did y'all see who was the first teammate there?
Mauricio Dubon.
Mauricio Dubon.
he's
for the
free.
win.
Finally free.
I actually didn't like that
Exactly.
trade. Dubon's been a good Astro.
No, he wanted.
Kapler would follow you into the tunnel if you pimped it like
No,
that. I'm
Dubon-
going to give you a talking to, young man.
Dubon was the first one there because he wanted to tell Alvarez, actually, you should have bunted.
Yes. Yes.
Thought that
there you
was
go.
a
That boy.
risk that you shouldn't
That's
have
a
coming in
taken.
hot.
joke right there.
It's a 4-month joke.
That
It
was,
works.
that was the first ever line drive into the upper deck. Yeah, if you can hit a line drive
Unreal.
to the upper
Seriously.
deck of a stadium,
was
that
still
was the
rising.
first one. It was also predicted on Twitter. I've never seen a walk-off home run that everybody knew was going to happen before it happened. Everyone's like, Robbie Ray? Wait, why? No, please don't. This doesn't make... He's going to... Gone. Damn it. Like, every Mariner fan was like, oh, my gosh.
It's hilarious because Robbie Ray's a guy who signed a $100 million contract with them in the offseason.
Yeah, but he's not a closer.
Exactly.
But he got rocked too in the first round.
Right,
as well.
the Astros have killed him, and Alvarez. I guess his splits. He's just as good against lefties as righties. Like, there wasn't an obvious reason. There were a bunch of reasons not to do that. There was no reason to do it, and then to have it result that way, it's going to be a long day, maybe off season for Scott Service.
Oh,
Long way to go for that. Hopefully Seattle can
We'll
recover.
see if they. Yeah, it's one of those that in the moment it feels unrecoverable.
You
But
don't
then if they
believe
come out,
You're
and
just
win the
trying
next
to
day,
distract from the really cold, hard reality that's staring you in the face.
What's
And
that?
The Dodgers, bro.
Oh, I
hate them.
The Dodgers.
I don't
mean,
want to talk about it.
because if they win this one, then you can't look at the 2020 in any sort of a way.
I
now
agree.
Now
agree.
they start to think about a dynasty.
No,
they can talk about the even year.
I don't.
Right? I didn't even think of that. I'm just saying.
I'm not surprised one bit that they're going to beat the Padres. What was more unsettling, if you are a anti-Dodger fan, these playoffs,
Right.
is what happened to the Braves.
Yeah.
Because if the Phillies play the Dodgers,
Right.
this is a coast to the World Series.
Castellanos picked the worst time to wake up. I'm like, oh God.
And the Braves
will
left
be
so
fine.
many guys
The
off. They
Braves-
left so many guys on
Yeah.
base yesterday.
The Braves will be
Yeah,
fine.
I think they'll be fine.
Well,
I think
they
they'll
still
bounce back.
almost came back and got him.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm
the
thinking
Braves
about
will be
betting
fine.
Braves today.
Yeah.
So that's a baseball talk, huh?
I've been betting.
All right,
Well, I mean,
Anyway,
we'll
so
get
that's
to
the
it.
end of our
We'll get
baseball
to
talk.
it.
Over-unders.
Well-
I cleaned up on team totals yesterday, man.
Well, it's
enjoyed the
Tuesday.
baseball
It's
playoffs.
Tuesday and Wednesday. We
Right.
got to bet on something.
Right, you're not going to bet
Come
on
on,
Commanders.
NFL.
You're not betting on Commanders Bears tomorrow.
Champions
hell
League.
yes, I am.
Yeah, Champions
shit.
League, yeah.
Nothing tonight, though.
Yeah.
What are we betting on tonight?
Yeah, no
you
doubt.
got Dodgers.
You got hockey too. You got hockey. You got some
I'm
puck.
gonna stay off the puck.
You got some
That's not
puck.
my- That's not
You
my
got some
lane.
puck to talk about.
Yeah, don't do
That's
that.
not my lane.
Yeah.
Puck you.
Exactly.
All right.
Well,
Yeah, if you don't know anything about Zach Brown,
Well,
Band, then you don't bet on hockey.
Let me read the legal, and I'll just.
That is a pull.
That is a pull. That is a pull. I'm going to read the legal and step back.
Okay.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, kgmz-fm and HD1, San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game for the best and most up-to-date sports coverage. Do not forget, you can also watch us every day on our YouTube and Twitch streams. Just log out and search 95.7 The Game. Biggest story around here, Draymond Green not getting suspended. Willard Dibs, your take.
Dibs.
It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. It's the biggest crisis that they've faced as an organization, but we can look at the second biggest crisis they faced as an organization, and he didn't say that this was the second biggest crisis, but it was a crisis nonetheless. Draymond Green and Kevin Durant, for which Draymond Green was suspended 1 game. So this, by his own very words, in a Tuesday night news dump, post-game, I'm going to give it to you post-game when most of you were asleep, is what he's saying after a preseason game. But he didn't say it, but how do you say it without saying it? So the biggest crisis that they've faced, the punishment is actually less than the second biggest crisis, if that was that they faced. It's an absolute joke. It's offensive. And, we'll all move on. Come ring night, when Day-Day's out there to get his ring, and we all turn the page, and we get to January, and they're 31-14, and we're talking about the playoffs, fine. We'll all move beyond it. But in this moment, me as a Warrior fan, and I've been a Warrior fan longer than either one of you has been alive, and longer than Steve Kerr has even been a part of this organization, and before Draymond Green was even alive.
And you've told me on numerous occasions, of all the teams, this was your team.
It still is my team.
Yes.
Draymond Green, get out of here. It's over for me.
Wow.
And not just because the organization didn't punish him, but I'm closing my eyes and I'm imagining 12 days from now when a call doesn't go his way and he starts barking and pointing the finger. He's learned no lesson, and he could be contrite, and I think he was apologetic, and whatever happened behind closed doors, and I heard Nick Friedel, and he's absolutely right, this is not my business other than as a fan. And I look at this team with Draymond Green, get out of here.
Well, you can fan however you want, and I know a lot of people feel that way. I think we need to be very careful with the idea of comping this to all the other things that we've seen through the years. As you pointed out, well, he was suspended for X. Why is he not suspended for Y? Because this is in my opinion, this is a completely different situation. And I would ask everybody, again, if you want to boo him, if you don't want to be a Warrior fan anymore, that's up to you. But I would ask every fan 2 things. Number 1, what is it about a suspension that would make you feel better? Because why is that actually that big of a deal?
Like the satisfaction?
If he leaves for 6 games and we tell him, oh, by the way, if the Warriors go, you're out for 6 games, and you need to earn our trust back when you get back. What sounds like the harder thing to do?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's earning the trust back.
Yeah,
so that's the punishment here. And I don't know why this pound of flesh and a suspension is going to matter to fans, why it would make you feel so much better. And the other side to this is, and this is where I think we can all relate, because everybody always wants to, well, if this happened at my work, it's not your work. But here's how you can relate, because the Warriors view themselves as a family. And do you want other opinions about the decisions that you make for your family? Whatever's going on inside your house. Now, there are things that end up in the legal realm. If you're hitting a child, then yes, this is the legal realm.
Ben Gordon.
But if things happen in your family that may not be understood outside your family, do you want your neighbors to come over and tell you how to handle it? No.
Aren't we a part of the family, though, by the very nature of us spending our hard-earned money to support this product? Aren't we, by the very nature of organization? So if every single fan decides, we don't like the way you're handling your business, we're no longer going to pay money to be a part of your product, aren't we then impacting their family?
Yes, but that's not going to happen here, and you know it.
No, you're putting this into a hypothetical, and I'm just telling you in terms of
I'm rejecting your premise. I'm totally rejecting your premise.
But your premise is flawed, because the very nature of fandom is a part of organizations.
Yeah.
If you don't have fans, the organization doesn't have the money to do the things that they want to do.
Right, but that does not mean you're a member of the family that has decision-making power, or by your comp, you should actually have a say in whether or not they re-sign Jordan Poole or Andrew Wiggins or who they signed in the offseason.
The only say that we have is our money.
Yes.
Right.
And
that's what you get to decide.
Exactly.
That's not what this is. So that's my point. And as I said, if you want to boo Draymond, if you don't want to go to games, if you want to reject the organization now, that's totally up to each individual. And by the way, that'll never, ever change.
And every fan doesn't feel like that
Right.
either.
I just don't, I don't see it that way personally as a fan. And secondarily, I guess today, this is my genuine question, is the anatomy of a suspension. Why would Draymond taking 6 games off make everybody feel like, okay, now we're good?
Because you want to change the behavior and to take
You
it
think
to
that would do it?
Well, to take it to your analogy of a family, if you have a child, if one of your kids
Not a child.
Well, basically, you mentioned a family. So, okay, let's say he's a grown adult. He's a grown member of the family. If one of your kids hauls off and punches another one of your children,
which has happened in my
and you
family.
don't,
No, I'm being honest.
And
It's
do you-
happened at a
happened in my
wedding.
family.
And do you
too.
want the police there to handle it, or do you want to handle it?
But
Well, they
other
didn't
members
handle
of the
it.
family.
So
Yes, they
they
did.
basically
This
told their child, "Oh, it's okay.
No, see-
Go ahead and knock Jordan Poole out. No punishment."
And now we're getting to where the rub is, which is that if you feel like nothing happened,
Right.
it's because you're only putting this one possibility, suspension. Either you suspend or you did nothing. They didn't do nothing. In fact, we don't even know exactly what they did do, number one. And number two, as I just stated to you, him having to earn trust back within the organization
That's gotta be brutal. That's got to be awful.
You've clearly never been through a family situation where
I've
somebody
been through
lost trust.
more than you have any idea about.
Earning trust back is so much harder
it's hard.
than sitting on the couch for a week.
Right.
And then coming back like nothing happened.
So what does that look like in terms of a tangible trust-earning organization and an exercise?
I'm putting this to you again. Why does it need to be tangible? That's for you. That's
it's for all of us.
Which is not relevant here.
May I interject? Because I find this actually a fascinating metaphor. I don't know if it's a perfect one, but it's a fascinating one because
it's never perfect.
When we've had I know, but people, it's not a rip. But no, I like it because when we've had family squabbles, right? We had my uncle and my cousin got into it at a wedding. Okay. It took months, years for them to repair the relationship, and the awkwardness amongst everyone else in the family, sitting down at the dinner table, birthday parties, this, that. It was awkward for everyone. So now I'm envisioning all the other teammates and everybody, to your point, Dibs, and like, you do have to pick and choose. Like, should we invite both of them? Do we want them here? You know, maybe you have lost the right to be around us for a little while, and I don't want to expose anything, but like, I do think it's not... Yes, there are consequences and suspensions, but I agree with you. I don't know what that line of demarcation is. A year is not enough for some people. A week is not enough.
Right, I heard you say that earlier, and you're right.
But I like the family metaphor because you have to go back and you have to break bread at the table together at some point. And I think we're all underselling. It's 20 people, as in the organization, in a little tube, flying all across the country playing games.
It is different, though. We're talking about a professional team as opposed to family. Now, as family members that I do not trust and I do not talk to. It happens in every family.
You cut them out of your life?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mom, hey, I want to invite this person. No, you bet not, or I will not show up. That's how it goes down. But this is a professional basketball team.
Yes.
As much as I want to use a family analogy, this is a basketball team.
Right.
And what the star player of this basketball team wants, he gets.
Yeah.
And that's Stephen Curry.
So what if Jordan Poole would have broken his eye socket? What if Jordan
we're talking
Poole
about a different
would have had a
situation.
concussion? What if Jordan Poole...
It's a hypothetical. It didn't happen.
Right.
If it did happen, I guarantee you something different would have happened.
Probably different.
Right.
But Jordan's
consequence is different.
Jordan's opinion matters here too. You're
Right.
right,
Yes.
Bonson.
Right.
And Jordan's opinion was
Right.
stated last night in absentia.
Exactly.
But it was
Via Steve Kerr.
But it was
Exactly.
passed along
Exactly.
that Jordan is ready to go play basketball with Draymond.
Jordan
Mark
Poole
said-
is in line to get a contract. So until Jordan Poole actually speaks, what Steve Kerr says Jordan Poole says is what Steve Kerr says Jordan Poole says.
I'm confident that he's not being misrepresented.
And real quick, what Mark said about sitting out for 6 games, I'm kind of with Mark here in the sense that, okay, you're suspended for 6 games. I think you intensify
That's
this
what I
situation.
think. I think
if
you're
you
right.
suspend him.
What-
You don't
like
have
what-
Draymond Green out there at ring night.
What gets
for the
fixed?
fourth better? What gets fixed?
What
All of a
gets
sudden,
fixed?
Draymond Green's teaming hot,
And
and all of a sudden you're like, well, now we have to do
Yeah,
something
we
with
don't
Draymond
want to
Green.
upset Draymond Green
But it's
because
not
That's
that
what I'm saying.
we've
That's
seen
not
what
that. I'm not
happens
even
when we
done yet.
upset
But no,
Draymond
but you
Green.
make
You
a
know,
situation that's already awkward more awkward by suspension. So
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know
with
what
you.
the suspension
But
does.
no, but here's
so
like
how does it become less awkward?
Well, no, I think the
Time.
ultimate. We don't know it now because today
Right.
is October 12th or whatever, 2022.
By the way, it's our 2-year anniversary of when the Morning Roast was launched.
Nice.
Very cool. Wow,
We've come a
you
long
sprung
way.
that on
That
me.
feels,
long way.
no, that
That's
feels
very
about
cool.
right.
Yeah.
But I did 51 weeks with Steiny and Goose, so that feels about
There you
right.
go.
So
Yeah.
like, isn't the and this is going deep here, but isn't the ultimate of all the like punishments? It's like Draymond, you're probably not going to be here in a couple of years. Like, forget right
Oh,
now.
that's an awful punishment. $50 million to just
I'm just
go
saying,
about
like,
your
it-
But it's
business.
funny. You're flicking everything that everyone else is saying off about this.
Me?
And no, Dibs, you're flicking all. Oh, that's
Yeah,
it.
do you
That's
think
it, this.
Draymond Green
But
cares?
Dude, do you think he cares about a 6-game suspension? Again, my challenge for everybody today is if you're freaked out that they didn't suspend him, I understand it. And by the way, so do they. He said it last night. We're very open to criticism and we're not perfect. But if you get that suspension, as Bonte just asked, what gets fixed? The only thing that gets fixed is the fans feel placated.
So what
And
is
I'm
the
not-
fix?
Who cares about that?
The fix
The
is
fix is going to take time. They told you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
This is a journey that they need to figure out.
Right.
And they are
Right.
uniquely qualified to handle in ways that you're not.
Absolutely. And it's ultimately
I mean-
it's their team and it's their organization. And I, as a fan, am empowered only to the extent that I will either support or not support the product. And by the way, I'm going to support the product. I love the product. I don't like the player, and his actions have continued. It's been a pattern throughout his entire career of bullying. And Jordan Poole, by the very fact that Draymond Green is able to continue to go about his professional business, in my opinion, Jordan Poole
So-
got punched again.
So you trade him. You would have traded him?
No, I personally would have suspended him for at least 10 games. And you know what?
And then what?
You know, in ring night, you don't get to go to ring night. And I don't know how you guys all parent and you have all your individual decisions on how you parent. But if I have somebody who is underneath my parentage or my
In your
control
home,
in
as
an
my dad used to
organization,
say.
and this is not a child. This is not Draymond
Right.
Green as a
They're
child.
not- they're not
This is
his
a
parents.
31-year-old
Right.
man
But they're not his
who has
parents.
shown an ongoing pattern of disruptive behavior to my organization, and it's gone unchecked other than the 1-game suspension. So basically, you tell him, oh, you can't play in preseason games. See it ring night, Day-Day. This does nothing to change his ongoing destructive behavior.
But you're asking to parent somebody who's not a child. So
no,
you're
I'm not
gonna-
trying to parent him.
But it sounds like it.
No,
Take away
I'm-
his
it sounds
privilege.
like
I'm the
it. It sounds
employer.
like you want to send him to the
No,
corner.
Yeah, what I want
but
to do
again-
is, as an employer, I want my employee to behave in a way that is not embarrassing
but
to
not-
my
but not
organization.
only that, though-
This is embarrassing to my
Understood,
organization.
and they've said that. They've said that.
Draymond Green, you don't invite
Suspension
him to
doesn't
ring
change
night.
that.
They hang a banner for the first time at Chase Center, the 4th in the last 8 years. And you told Draymond Green he can't be part of that
Yeah.
win. He helped you win that
Yeah,
damn championship.
You
That's
lost the
tough.
privilege.
That's tough.
You lost the privilege.
See, that's
tough
parenting.
situation.
That's parenting.
That's the way I personally
Right.
parented.
But that's not.
And
Do
but
you
he's
trust
not a
the-
child.
Let me
They're
ask you
not
this,
his
Dibs.
parents.
so
let me
you're
ask you
the
this, Dibs.
employer. So what do
That's
you do?
different.
Dibs,
That's
let me
different.
ask you this, because a lot of what you're saying is on point. I don't think either of you are wrong. Just sitting back listening to you. I don't think
different
I get
perspectives.
why you
I
feel like
appreciate
that,
it.
and I get why you
Yeah.
feel like that.
Yep. I get why he feels like that too. I know a lot of people do.
Do you trust the culture, though, of what Bob said yesterday on the broadcast, what Steve has been saying behind the scenes the last week for the Golden State Warriors? Do you trust the culture that they can handle this and that they did rectify the situation?
I trust it to the extent that Jordan Poole can tolerate it, because if Jordan Poole is going to be a part of this organization for years to come, which is what Steve Kerr said,
Yep.
and Draymond Green is going to have to work with Jordan Poole, I wonder how the culture this year works, because every time something happens where Draymond Green loses his cool or Jordan Poole looks disinterested or those two have a moment where they aren't really seeing eye to eye, this is going to percolate back to the surface.
Well, and so I guess we had Nick Friedel on, and I wanted his opinion on this, and we didn't even know he was covering the team
Yeah.
where
Yeah, I
Bobby
heard that.
Portis
That was really good.
hit,
Yeah, you guys did a great job
hit
on him this morning.
Mirotic, and it's about as close to a comp as we can find, even though there wasn't championships and equity and all that stuff. And when he said on court after the punch, they had never played better together, but they never talked to each other off court. And I guess the question now is the culture good enough to where they can play on court and either not get along or get along, but not bother the rest of the teammates moving forward? And that's the untold thing. I don't know.
Listen, to me, that's
I don't even know how to question.
But that's a very, very big piece of this puzzle,
right?
Which actually, to me, disassociates it from that situation with Mirotic years ago, because that culture is what everybody's relying on here. And this team, I might have a very different opinion if this was a team that won 30 games every year and embarrassed itself all the time. This is the opposite of that. This is the gold standard of sports. And if there are people there that are coming out, being honest and saying, this is the decision that we have come to as a group, I'm going to trust their decision making because it's been really, really good through the years. And so that is very, very important in this conversation.
One thing though, Bobby Portis did break Mirotic's jaw.
That's the other thing.
And his eye socket.
He went to the hospital.
He went to the hospital, and now he's out of the country.
I mean, the Warriors,
and they didn't play together much longer than a month or so.
Him, right?
Yeah, he was gone not long after.
I mean, Steve Kerr said last night, this is very important. They're going to talk to everybody in the organization, and he said, we had every combo of conversation we could have. If Jordan Poole felt like Mirotic did, this would not have gone this way.
Right.
Jordan Poole says, I can't talk to this person. I can't play with this person. We're not getting this result. But if everybody is on the same page in the house, I don't know how we can't allow them to do that and not be on the same page.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And you know, this is a different situation because Portis and Mirotic are equal. They're on an equal plane. Draymond Green and Jordan Poole are not on an equal plane. Jordan Poole is waiting for a huge bag of money that he's either going to get in the next 6 days or he's not going to get. So he doesn't have the same amount of clout as a Portis Mirotic. Portis and Mirotic were in the same sphere.
Role players.
This is a 32-year-old, likely Hall of Famer, caving in the face of a 22-year-old up-and-comer to where Jordan Poole doesn't have the clout to step up and say, I'm not playing with this guy. He's waiting for a huge bag of money. So that's an unfair comp in terms of what Jordan Poole is saying. Of course Jordan Poole is going to say, I can play with that.
It's fascinating because I'm not calling you out here, but if we hadn't seen that video, the tone of the conversation has changed
totally
dramatically.
Completely.
And
by the way, my whole point today is there is no comp. We got to stop with comps. Comps here don't work. If this happened at my work, Bobby Portis here. Remember when he did this to Durant? We suspended him for one game for that. You don't suspend him for that. There's no comp to this.
But when you're in the court, I hear you. But when you're, again, this isn't court. But when you're in court, there's precedent. And so that people are looking for precedent.
But I don't think precedent matters here.
Because there's no correlation is what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't think precedent matters. I think this is a group that has earned a whole lot of trust, that has a whole lot of reason for that trust, good reason, and they sat down and went through every single angle on this. And you have to remember, they were thrown a curveball after they were already in the process of trying to figure it out, where video came out, which embarrassed all of them. But they went through every single angle of this, and this is what they came up with. And they said, you don't have to agree.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's fine. Like, Dibs, you're going to have a whole lot of people today who feel the same way as you do.
Yep.
But if they don't want to suspend them, I don't really understand what that does for us.
So the person who leaked the video is going to get punished more harshly than the guy who actually threw the punch.
Is this the most polarizing topic?
Well, I don't even think it's the. Honestly, I think a security/software company who leaked that video or something like that. I think a video coordinator who's trying to come up in the game. Who's trying to come up in the game in the NBA. Why would he do that? Because once they find out, your NBA career is basically over.
Right. So whoever leaked the video is going to be punished more harshly than the guy who absolutely cold-cocked a 22-year-old. Think about that.
But in that corporation, that is a larger crime.
Right. Of course it is.
It is.
And again, if this was Quindary Witherspoon,
I mean, it's private info.
If this is Dante DiVincenzo who does it, they are cut instantly. If it's Jermichael Green, he's on a bus out of town.
That's life.
It's such hypocrisy.
Michael Jordan cold-cocking Steve Kerr.
Right.
We got
Hitting Bill Winnington. You got to cut Michael Jordan?
Well, we don't know what that punch was like because it didn't get
sounded like
leaked.
it was hard.
Right.
Who in any form of their life treats everybody the same way?
No one.
Stars get treated
No one.
differently.
It's kind of a, but
Stars
that's
get treated differently.
But that's in every aspect
Yeah,
of our
exactly.
life.
You hug some of your kids, you kick them in the pants or
Sorry,
some of
Jordan.
them.
If your school calls and your kid
Exactly.
this, that,
I'm
and
with
the
you,
other, you're
Willie.
going to defend your kid. But if it was some other kid, you want him to get taken off to juvie. Like,
So
we
if the
don't-
popular
we don't
kid,
do
if
that.
the popular
Treat
kid
people-
punches your
also-
kid, then it's fine.
No,
but
that's not
if
what I'm
some
saying.
random kid
Well,
punches
don't-
your kid,
don't pigeonhole
now we've
me
got
too.
an
Don't
issue.
pigeonhole.
Another thing that
That's
bugs
not
me
what I'm doing.
about situations like this is we all expect these sports teams and head coaches and football coaches and baseball managers to be the moral police, to be like, hey, they know how to
Yeah, that's not their
punish
skill
people.
set.
That's not their
Yeah,
skill
I'm with
set at
you
all.
there.
That's not. It's like if we're at this job and somebody has something, I don't expect Mac Nahiga to handle it perfectly. That's not his job. His job is to run a radio station.
Well,
not, hey, oh my
right.
God, I got these two guys fighting. What do I do? What do I do? Who do I go to? Same thing with these guys. Steve Kerr's not, he didn't take a master's class in how to prevent guys from punching each other and how to handle it.
Except that he's been there.
Right, he's been there. He knows
he's
it.
been
But
there.
what did
He
Steve
went to the
Kerr
training.
What did Steve Kerr say
exactly.
last Saturday? I've been around the league for 30 plus years. I've seen many fights. Now, depending on how you ask, Kenny Smith, I've seen many fights in practice.
Yeah, this was not a fight,
Now,
though, is
it's
the
not
difference.
a fight, but other players will say, I've never seen anything like this. This doesn't happen every day. Festus Ezeli was on with Damon Arado. Hey, guys fight all the time.
Yeah, but
so
see-
depending on who you ask,
Yeah.
this type of stuff
it's not a
happens.
fight.
But this is why I talk about the culture. In this organization, Steve Kerr comes out and says, this is the worst crisis we've ever had. In other organizations where there's always infighting, where there is no success, they're like, yeah, guys are fighting all the time. Maybe not here. Not here because this cohesion, this group, so successful, so tight, 3 core players who've been able to coexist through this for a decade now, for the whole time. So again, that's why I keep stating there's no comp, especially when other players are like, well, I get, I punched. Yeah, because you lost 68 games and you were all mad all the time.
Right.
This is the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
And somebody hauled off and clocked somebody in the wake of a championship. Like,
crazy.
That's a totally different thing.
And he
After all
gets
the
5
good
days
vibes.
off. He gets 5 days off in concert tickets.
I mean-
that's just a joke.
No.
It's an absolute joke. And,
Not to
he's
them,
been
it's
a
not.
bully his whole career, and this is like the apex of his bully era. And the retribution from the organization is, you don't have to play preseason. Have a cookie.
That's not what
It's a joke.
That's not what this says.
That's
And when you
exactly
zoom
what
out-
it
They
is.
said he's been practicing after the team. When the team leaves,
Yeah.
he comes and work out
Like
or
Jimmy
whatnot.
G.
Exactly. He's got shorts and he's jogging.
When you zoom out a little, like I was thinking about this driving in this morning, to say he will or won't be here or whatever, I learned a lesson with the Jimmy Garoppolo thing. God knows what could happen with any player
God
moving
knows.
forward.
He's got a
this
player
whole
option.
thing that like this guy will be here and this guy won't be here, and I feel like I've learned my lesson. And
Yeah.
if you told me 50 different scenarios,
They
I'd
could-
believe them all. At
They
this
could
point.
trade him tomorrow.
Exactly.
No,
I mean,
no,
that's,
no, no.
and
Well,
if he
no, but-
retired a Warrior,
but
I'd believe that
Based
too.
on what Nick Friedel said this morning, he's getting the max. Steph Curry wants him here. Steph Curry runs the show. We need to sign Draymond Green now before it gets too expensive.
We don't know what Steph wants. I mean, we saw what his face looked
I mean,
like the other
it
day.
does feel like
Draymond's
Steph
here to
wields
stay.
a very big
Yes.
As he should.
I agree.
As he should.
Player
And shout out
empowerment is the
Kevon
one
Looney.
tool that you can give outside of the luxury tax,
I mean,
right?
based on that, then Steph Curry wants Jordan Poole to get the max too.
Absolutely.
Because if they're saying publicly that we're planning on signing him to an extension next week, then that's coming from Steph
Hey,
also.
Joe Lacob, you may want to go to the ATM.
Where
Steph
is
wants
Lacob
everyone.
in all this? Do we need to hear from him? I'm asking out loud. I'm
Do we
not
need to
saying-
hear from him?
I'm asking you.
From who? I didn't hit
Joe
catch-
Lacob.
Oh.
Because if this were football, I think a lot of people like,
The-
Jed York,
The one
where
guy
are you?
we need to hear from Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole.
That's
Yeah,
it. I
that's
don't
the
need to hear
last
from
thing.
Joe
You know,
Lacob.
I'm just asking.
No,
I was just
Jordan
asking.
Poole's the one guy
Yeah.
we need to hear from. Joe Lacob, sure. I like when owners talk. I like when
I do
Joe
too.
I mean,
Lacob
I
talks.
do too.
this is a
But
locker
it's-
room.
it's
It's a
Jordan
locker
Poole.
room
Yeah, it's
dynamic,
not a
and the
front
truth
office
is
thing.
Joe is
Right.
not in the locker room.
No.
I mean, he's probably he walks through, he's allowed in.
Yeah.
But this isn't really his axe to grind.
Wow, this is going to be a fun day at
I mean,
95.7
Ken
The Game.
Bonds is the only thing I can
Yeah,
think of.
I mean,
and
but-
Draymond and KD,
Those
obviously.
two dudes were mad all the time.
Right,
Oh,
but
well,
you're
I
going to
mean,
suspend Barry Bonds.
Kent was
you know
mad at
what
the
I'm saying?
fans for being mad at him. I mean,
Michael Morris, Jeff
like the Hall of
Samardzija,
Famers
maybe.
here.
good call.
Everybody all
And
roided
his
up and
career.
angry every
Right.
second of the day.
Exactly. All right, you guys are going to have a fun show. I'll be listening.
Out of
It's
bed.
Steiny and Good and Damon and Ratto. It'll be a fun day here at 95.7 The Game. Don't go anywhere.